It was understood that there may be an opportunity to attract a Western Hockey League team to Nanaimo, and that these opportunities do not happen often. Therefore, the study parameters were based on completing at a reasonable cost a study that would provide an overview on the positives and challenges of developing and operating an event center. The strategic objective was to quickly obtain enough information for City Council to make an informed decision on whether it was worthwhile to further the realization of an event center. As stated at the outset, and with the realities of 1 month study time frame, many of the study's findings are based on BBB's extensive experience with this building type and by benchmarking Nanaimo to other cities and their facilities. So let me start out first of all by saying is that at BBB, Architects and Stadium Consultants International, we have accomplished a host of different size facilities across Canada, the United States, and in parts of Europe. These facilities range in all different sizes, from 3,000 to 4,000 to that of 20,000 seats. Many of those that you will see up on the slide at present. The mid-size facilities that we consider to be mid-size range in 4,000 to 10,000 seat category, and obviously then the larger facilities known as NHL or NBA facilities or concert facilities ranging to 10 to 20,000 seat variety. I'll show you some of the big centers that we have completed, only for the purpose of what we have realized over my 26 years in this business, and I have been with BBB Architects as a senior director for 26 years. And Murray Bain and myself, and my apologies from Murray Bain tonight, he has had a 2-week cruise booked for many, many times, for many, many months, I should say, and wasn't realizing this particular date on the schedule. He sends his regrets, and I'm here pitching for Mr. Bain. With BBB's big center events, you'll see the Air Canada Center, Rogers Center, now known as Rogers Arena in Vancouver, was GM Place at the time, and a host of others, from those of Salt Lake City to the renovation of Calgary and others. When it comes to the bigger facilities that we have accomplished and are working on at present, Hartford being one, working for the state, in fact, to revitalize, transform that facilities, is what we have learned that in the big centers versus that of the mid-sized locations, is that they're all the same. They're all the same. The things that we have learned from both big and mid-sized facilities is that the people want exactly the same thing. They want the comforts and the amenities of a spectator event. They want a good product, whether that's on the ice or on the stage, and they want all the conveniences of having modern-day audio, visual, and food and beverage services. So even though we're showing you these bigger facilities, such as Madison Square Garden, is that what we've learned from these facilities helps us a great deal in understanding better these mid-sized facilities. For example, in Madison Square Garden, this was a private sector facilities. But at the same time, BBB and SCI, we took it upon ourselves to suggest to the private sector client that we wanted to do focus groups. We wanted to get public community engagement. No, this was a private sector facilities, but it was important because what we've explained to owners of certain private sector facilities is the people that you see in the stands watching a stage show, whether it's a sport, they're the ones that really own this building. It's their building. This is a community facility, whether private sector or owned by a municipality. These facilities are owned by the community. The Los Angeles Forum was a building that was ready for the wrecking ball that we recently transformed into that of just strictly an entertainment facilities, but now rated as one of the 3rd top entertainment facilities in the world. Mid-sized facilities. These facilities are not arenas. We used to call them arenas back a long time ago. Yes, hockey might be played in them 40 times a year, but these facilities are for the community. Every man, woman, and child will experience the opportunity to come to an event center in the mid-sized market, like Nanaimo. At least once a year, there will be something in that facilities that will attract them. And you can see that they are designed this way now, whereby they are very multi-purpose. They're not hockey facilities, except when a hockey game is being played in them. These are truly event centers. You'll see a boat show up there, because that's the Regal Coliseum in Toronto, and it hosts the National Boat Show. There's 3 feet of water that is in that so-called hockey arena. Well, it's not a hockey arena. For this particular event, it's a boat show facilities. And you will experienced that in many of our buildings, is seeing what happens now out there in the marketplace, not just in our buildings, but all across Canada and the United States. In these mid-sized facilities, you'll see one in the top right-hand corner. Sometimes, as in certain locations have requested us to do, we will take an older building, as was done with Maple Leaf Gardens, and the rats were running around in it, and it was ready for demolition. And we have now transformed that into a mid-sized arena. Thus, the ice floor is up to the 3rd story now. There's a huge grocery store owned by Loblaws down below. But it has been transformed into that of multi-purpose sports and entertainment facilities. Likewise, when we say that these are multiple event facilities, that's exactly what they are. And so when we scan through the various facilities that we have done, and Budweiser Gardens, we'll talk about a little bit more now, formerly the John Labatt Center. I think Gord Humes was in your city just a few weeks ago, and he knows the success of this facility, and more so the success of the downtown municipality, how it has really taken the city of London to a different level. When you talk about the Bud Gardens, you talk about all different types of events that are regular coming in to this facility. With that, I want to emphasize again, is that, for example, yes, it's an ice facilities. It holds ice, and these are the different things, not just hockey, but whether that's synchronized skating, Disney on ice, whether that's international or national sled hockey championship, whether those are curling bonspiels. Yes, it is ice for those type of events. But it's also quickly turned into that of grass, whether that's soccer or whether indoor soccer. And when you look at your forefathers, and they built a facility some 40 years ago in this city. And some cities in their similar situation have facilities of relatively the same size that are in need of being replaced. What has to be looked at is that you get one opportunity to do these every 50 years. And as a result, we don't know what's going to be most popular in spectator event facilities. And so the facilities have to be designed so where they can accommodate the future. Because in the future, indoor cricket might be, in fact, it's in many facilities throughout the world right now, indoor cricket might be where it's at. Indoor soccer is already in many centers across the United States. Indoor football, as we know, has experienced utilization of indoor spectator facilities. Then you get to the dirt events, from rodeos to big trucks to horse shows. All of those type of things occur, and of course, on that ice floor that is either ice taken out or the floor is put over top of it. And then you get to that event floor. All of the things that can occur. And it's important to understand in cities that have performing arts centers, as do you, is that working in relationship and together is absolutely critical. And so as a result, with your facilities, is that you're looking at this facilities as housing things that would not come, events, I should say, that would not come to your performing arts center. So it is just a totally different realm of floor events. Likewise with the court events, basketball, handball, badminton, wrestling. We've seen the success of basketball numbers in Canada right now, and we know that there are minor league basketball franchises that are starting up and are prevalent right now in the East, and we know that they will also be prevalent in the years to come in the West. And we mentioned boat shows. Yes, I mean, in some facilities, the flexibility of these design facilities can in fact accommodate that. So let's get to the event center study objectives that we have. We responded to the City Council's designation of an event center as one of the strategic plan's top 5 priorities. We reported on the implications of Nanaimo having the opportunity to secure a WHL team if an event center was developed. Within that 1 month time, we provided an initial overview of an event center's financial and their physical planning realities and the benefits to allow City Council then to make an informed decision on whether to pursue this initiative any further. Understanding the Nanaimo market. And this is where we, in our firm, got, I think, a very pleasant surprise. And that was in looking at the overall population. I think, to be honest, coming into this, is that we looked at the Nanaimo market as probably being somewhere in a 250,000 population range. And what we discovered, when you take a look at the primary Nanaimo regional area, that Nanaimo's primary trade area, or Nanaimo regional district, has a population of approximately 165,000. The arena population grew by 5.7% between 2006 and 2011 and continues to grow. The maximum travel distance we took into consideration here in time in this district is to downtown is approximately 40 kilometers or 25 minutes. And you see the secondary, the 1 hour travel time. That then includes 140,000 people, and that includes Comox and Strathcona and Port Alberni. It has an additional population of as you see there, 140,000. Then the third item, the 1.5 hour travel time, that then takes in the greater area, and that then comes out to 86,000. Victoria is not included in this for the reason they have their own new event center, and within that region, we understand that there's a population of around 350,000 that is within their drawing area, so that we really kind of cut that line, knowing full well that people already from the north all the way through are driving to Victoria for their special events, or else they're going to the mainland for their entertainment. The captured population then equals 100,000, and it is growing. We used here comparables because we have other event center facilities, and looked at Kelowna and both Red Deer, and we're thinking at the time when we did this study, as I go back to that these were similar population sizes within their captured marketplace, and instead we found out that they were both bigger than Kelowna and Red Deer. Within the Nanaimo market characteristics, we do understand this in other regions that we worked at in Canada, and Moncton is a perfect example of that. People expect to travel long distances for this type of entertainment. Nanaimo's central location and their ferries here makes this a very convenient place for a lot of people to come, and certainly for people from the mainland to come, as we'll discuss a little bit later. There's a strong student population here, there's unique destinations for tourists, and what we were really surprised at seeing was that the Port Theatre, their sales, 10% of their sales were to households off Vancouver Island. That was surprising to us, and very complimentary, of course, to the theatre. But also 20% of the households on Vancouver Island that they sold tickets to were outside the Nanaimo Regional District. Now, understanding the small budget that they have to work with, and then looking at the event center of the size that we're speaking at, is that we determined that we believe it would attract 35% or more from outside the NRD. Nanaimo is the largest urban area in Western Canada that was surprising to us without a modern day event center. The Nanaimo business market. This was another pleasant surprise to us. Diversification and strength of its business communities. 600 businesses with 20 or more employees, the vast majority within the city of Nanaimo. That's a real compliment to the administration and to the foresight of the city, because I lived in the city and worked in the city back some years ago in Peterborough, Ontario, whereby they really relied on major businesses of Outward Marine, Quaker Oats, and General Electric. And they thought that they had it made because they had three really great dynamic companies that employed the city. That was all fine. They really didn't encourage the smaller businesses to come to their city. That was all fine until such time as Outward Marine left and closed down, and then General Electric left, and then Quaker Oats left, and then the city found the downtown center to be that of boarded up stores and something that certainly wasn't desired. They turned that around, but how they turned it around, I'm going after a lot of small businesses. So that was a very attractive figure for us when we discovered how many of the smaller businesses that Nanaimo has in the marketplace. The primary event requirements for the Western Hockey League. We're understanding this because we understand the tenants in the CHL. And the CHL consists, of course, of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, the Ontario Hockey League, and the Western Hockey League. We're establishing the overall spectator viewing capacity. Looking at Kelowna, their average attendance was 5,400. The Red Deer, 5,600. The WHL average attendance last year was a little over 4,500. Of course, the attendance varies with wins and losses of who they're playing. Some nights, because of the rivalry, there will be jam-packed in standing room. You can't even get standing room. Other nights, you will see that suites and loges and those type of amenities. To have the WHL team in this community, you would also have to have suites, loges, clubs, restaurants, bars, etc. Something that people expect in this size of a community. The primary event requirements of the touring shows. This is, of course, getting back to what we're saying. The WHL is absolutely a critical number one tenant. Shows aren't number one tenants. They come and they go, and there's a whole series of them, of course, that are on the circuit. But most mid-sized regions have a maximum of 6,500 to 7,500 and host approximately 25 shows. Understanding that when we talk about hockey capacity, that's fixed seats, obviously on the ice. That's where the teams play. When you get to these concert and show events, then the portable floor goes over, and now it's chairs, and so you get all of that additional capacity on the floor and in other areas. Facilities with 8,000 to 9,000 are hosting approximately 35 to 40 touring shows a year. What you need obviously facilities with good quality acoustics, washrooms, and I say multiple washrooms, remembering as, I don't know, somehow it got lost 50 years ago that with these events that you shouldn't have more women's washrooms than you do men, or at least the same. That didn't seem to apply to a lot of the older buildings. Certainly that has been a mandate in the newer buildings starting in the 80s. Fast movements. To any of the touring events, how they select the city and their facility is based on how easy is it. Well, first, how easy the market size. Can we fill the building? How many people will the building hold? And then on top of that, then how good are the acoustics in this building? How much of fan comfort experience will our consumer have? Their people otherwise. Fast move-ins for them, because it's all about dollars and cents for these promoters, just like it is for any other number one tenant. Fast move-ins, rigging loads, the capacity to be able to hold the shows in the ceiling. The stage power, a lot of the buildings right now simply can't even host these shows because they don't have enough electrical power to be able to host these type of shows. And the rigging system, Cirque du Soleil, there's a lot of these mid-sized buildings, but the rigging capacity on the ceilings, has got to be whereby when they come in and do their pre-report, they've got to know exactly that this facilities, if they're going to come to it, has got to be able to be able to accommodate them in all the other ways. Primary event requirements, other events. Facility must be complementary or coordinated, as we pointed out with the Port Theater. I'll skip through some of these things because they're pretty obvious. The culture and community events and activities are extremely important. Public galleries and sitting areas at the non-event times. These facilities are really meant to be operated 365 days a year. They are community facilities. We've put indoor soft surface circular walking routes in the main concourses so that especially seniors can get out of the shopping malls where they tended to walk at times when the weather's not good and get into their own community center to be able to walk. Also, certainly rooms for not-for-profit community and cultural groups is extremely important, we feel, in this size of an event center, as well as the new covered outdoor public activation festival classes. This is something that has been relatively new in the last 5 or 6 years. If you watch on television at certain events, you'll see, whereby people are congregating out in front of these facilities, not just in them, but oftentimes when there is an event going on, there's an event going on outside as well. You see people congregating, and we believe in this climate with the rain is that it's best to have a covered outdoor public activation. That is the same in certain other places that need it because of snow, for example. However, right now we're suggesting that that type of a plaza atmosphere would be very complementary to your needs in this community. Recommended facility program. Okay, so this is where it all comes down to. Large enough for a WHL team, features to attract a broad variety of touring shows so that you want them all coming, from the Barry Manilow's of Murray Bay, say, right through to the Sesame Streets and to the rock bands and to the special speakers that will pack the house like an Oprah Winfrey, to that of a whole host of other types of international sporting events, as well as, of course, as we mentioned, the WHL team. Provide for an efficient future operation of the center. These type of facilities, definitely, you've got to make sure that when they're built and designed, and there's a cost to that. They're sustainable. For 40, 50 years, not being built so whereby you're going to have to do major renovations to them, in 15 or 20 years because they're made of so much, I don't want to say cardboard, but you know where I'm getting at, where I have too much drywall and not enough of the more expensive materials. Areas for growth that allow self-funding complementary uses. So one might ask, what is that? Well, for example, is that we have suggested in this facility that you had to have 22 suites. Having room whereby you could, in fact, move it up to that of having 25 or 26 suites because it would pay for itself in order to do that. This is what we're looking at in the base facilities. The hockey, 5,700 spectators, that would hold concerts in the round of 7,100 spectators. 22 suites, 22 loges, 800 seat club seats, restaurant, bar, open to the event bowl, and neighborhood seating sections for youth, families, businesses, and certainly something that's attainable 365 days a year as far as the usage of this facilities. Option A, and option A comes down to you could expand it to whereby concert is 8,300 instead of 7,100, which will attract more of the bigger events. That's an additional amount of square footage, which has an additional cost to it, but again, it will attract more of the bigger events. This option also includes an additional multi-purpose rooms for community recreation, meeting, and the other activities to augment the facility's use during that 365 days a year. Option B, and that would be an exterior and an interior architectural upgrade, including the addition of that large covered exterior entry activation that I mentioned, pavilion, to make this one-of-a-kind, made in the Nanaimo public assembly community center. Also creates an environmental showcase using traditional, sustainable building products to create a world-unique architectural interpretation of a First Nations longhouse. That is our initial suggestion to the city, as you'll see. Option C would be to minimize the cost of this facility. Just worry about a good home for a WHL team, recommending a 5,000 to 5,200 seat facilities of a smaller size, 1,200, 120,000 square feet, we should say. It has minimal facilities to accommodate the majority of shows. This is what it would look like, and this is another 5,700 seat arena with that type of, with the number of loges and sky suites that we were talking about. That's what it would look like. And we've just kind of photoshopped this to give you just an idea of what that facilities would look like. You can see the layouts of this facilities. You can see that the suites would be at the upper level with their own concourse, and the rest is pretty self-explanatory. This is what base facilities that we are putting out there right now as our suggestion. And again, this is a facilities that is meant for the community to decide as to how and what this facility would look like. But we thought that this would be something that is very much part of this region. And whereby people on cruise ships onwards that say, when you're in Nanaimo, you've got to go and see this facilities. You have got to go and see it. Have your picture taken, walk around the facilities, go inside, do some shopping, whatever then events that may occur here is that it's got to be something that is really an attraction. And it can be very environmentally friendly as well. It leads to that a green roof, solar roof, and you can see the transparency that can be created over that plaza area where many other types of events could happen. Even if there's nothing happening on the inside, there can be events that occur on the outside. What we did is looking at the existing building assessment. And in the existing arena assessment, we looked at, of course, your building done 40 years ago, the Frank Crane Arena. It's been kept in very good shape. It only seats 2,200. It has served its purpose without question over the decades. And if a new event center does come to fruition, then the thing that is always important for us to address early on if we're working on these projects is the fact, what do you do with the old buildings? You don't just blow them up. Not if they've got some history to them, if the bones are good in them, what do you do with them? And what we're suggesting here after touring facilities and looking at the mechanical structures and everything within it is that right now at this present time, we would leave it as is to host smaller events until the time for an overall recreational training assessment is made. You could remove the existing seating and renovate it, but our recommendation would be to leave it as it is for the assessment of it. It needs some structural improvements. It needs some seismic upgrading. But none of these facilities could be renovated into that modern multi-use spectator event center. Their ongoing activities will not impact the successful operation of the new event center. If the curling rink is to be replaced, it should not be adjacent to the event center, and there's reasons for that. If you looked at doing, in some centers, they put an additional ice pad on there to the arena, which is unattractive in a lot of locations. Our assessment here is that you don't need an additional ice pad right now, and especially if you're keeping Frank Crane Arena as it is, and that serves as another ice pad. If you were to look at curling, curling is very one-dimensional in the sense it's a curling rink. And so when you replace that curling rink, it needs to remain a curling rink. Whereas if you were ever to put a second ice pad in either of the site locations we've recommended, then that becomes very multi-purpose. Take the ice out, it becomes floor space, and it becomes for bonds fields, it becomes bars and trade show areas. There are a host of other things that would be included in it. The site evaluations. First of all, we had to look at key attributes. Accommodate the recommended event center, located in the center of the urban population to maximize accessibility, attendance, and economic benefits. That's an important one to understand. Located in the center of the urban population. The proximity to other hospitality, retail, and accommodation offerings, that's important when you look at the success, the intended success of these facilities. Prominent exposure to maximize impact and sponsorship revenues. That's what the private sector is looking for. Access to public transit. Proximity to 1,500 customer parking spaces. That's within a 10 to 12 minute walk. Minimizes impact of truck traffic, reasonable cost, and then it can be approved and expedited reasonably quickly. Adjacent to other developable lands is also important. These 5 potential sites are what we looked at. The Howard Johnson site, One Port Drive site, west side, the Mafia Sutton Park site, and then the existing ball site and curling site area. You know where they are. Eliminated. Mafia site, park site, just too small. I mean, it would be in the parking lot space. There's strong positive emotional ties to that park, and for the citizens of Nanaimo, we don't see that as an option. The existing ballpark, it just won't provide, there's lots of space there, but it just won't provide full potential in economic and community benefits. There's lots of parking, but that's it. Existing curling and arena site, positive in the downtown. There are 2 sites we narrowed down to, Howard Johnson and the One Port Drive site. Positives, they're both large enough, prominent gateway entry locations, one to the north, one to the south, adjacent to downtown, significant public parking with a 10 to 12 minute walk, space for a new complementary development, opportunities to continue the heritage of being important traditional First Nation meeting places. The challenges with these. First Nation issues, yes, there are some other issues that are defined. Howard Johnson site, the positives. Close proximity to adjacent Mafia Sutton Park, that's a real benefit, especially with the activities in the park in the summertime, bad rain, just hosting other types of entertainment during the festivals. That is an important feature of that particular site. Stronger year-round north anchor to the downtown, upgrade to the adjacent waterfront trail of Millstone River. That has an awful lot of very much positives, we believe, to the community as an overall destination point. Zone for multi-use spectator arena already. Ancillary private sector development that we understand would be going around it, already planned. And then the possible Comox Road dedication should not impact the site's overall viability. The challenges. There are some site grade differential challenges. Completion of agreements between the public and private sectors. Adjacent residential. That used to be a bigger problem in communities that we work with than it is today, because it used to be that they, and it was the way that the buildings were constructed too, is that you knew what was ever going on in the event. You could hear all the noise on the outside of the building, and it did disturb certain residential areas. Now, if you go down into any of these facilities, these new facilities, if you go outside of Rogers Arena, you're not going to know when you're standing outside of that arena whether there's a hockey game going on there, whether there's a rock concert going on out there, or whether or not there's a public speaker that's filled the building for that particular night. That's just the realities of what we're dealing with now. In fact, people want to live close to these facilities because of the excitement, and especially young professionals and empty nesters whereby there seems to be a lot of amenities created around these facilities because of the spectator traffic. Further environmental approvals, yes, that will be required, and need to acquire the adjacent government lands. Those 5 small pieces of property right now, we understand that those have been determined clean by the province, but to make this site work is that they should be acquired. There you'll see where the event center is positioned, and that is, you'll see the government lands right underneath it. Those are the 5 little sections that we speak of, and then a new waterfront hotel would go along and would still give a small plaza area. Sorry, I shouldn't say plaza area. The plaza area is what we showed you, the entry plaza, but almost a park-like space in between the hotel and the event center. This is what it would look like then, and it's much more attractive to acquire those small pieces of land and have the event center, because it makes for a much nicer green space area between the hotel and the event center, and it would make for a better destination. That's what it looks like now, as you all know, and this is what it would look like if, in fact, we put that exact building that we showed you onto this particular site with the hotel along the waterfront. You see the green area in between, and then, of course, there is the park right across that has parking with then the underground or across the roads, across the road as far as people, pedestrians coming to the facilities. One Port Drive closets. Assume right now the city ownership, environmental approvals have been received, anchor at the south end of the existing waterfront trail, and then closer proximity to the convention center. Rooms for additional public attractions, no question about that, as the lands become available. And it does support almost all of the December 2013 South Downtown Waterfront Initiative guiding principles. The challenges. There's a sanitary sewer that's going right through the site right now, but whatever's done on that site, that's going to have to be dealt with anyway. Large amount of on-site build that's expected in that area. If the trains start to operate evenings or weekends, the event center would have to have some special acoustical mitigation. That's not a big expense, but it would result in some additional costs. Right now, we understand there's about 8 trains a week that are going through there. Deal to transfer these lands to the city has got to be finalized. The master planning, including the road and the waterfront trail designations, they'll take some additional time. And then the First Nations has specific site claims, of course, to the site. That's where it would be positioned. Front Street, between Port Drive, on the Esplanade, and this is the site as you see it now, and this is what it would look like if, in fact, we took that same building, it was on the Howard Johnson site, put it now on this site. To the right, out in front of that plaza, you'll see a lot of green space. That could be future development for the city, but that is what right now it would look like from the waterfront. The development costs. Let's get into these, because if you take a look at the base project, that is $69 million. That includes then the 5,700 total hockey spectator viewing capacity, along with the suites, the 22 suites, the 22 loges, the 800-person club seating, and the 250-seat restaurant. 7,100 concert in the round capacity, roughly about 160,000 square foot building. Option A, which is an additional $8 million, our estimates, that will give you the bigger concert facilities. Long and short of it is that it's about 24,000 square feet more of additional related guest services, including multi-purpose rooms for recreation, meetings, community initiatives. This would augment the facility's use as a recreational community center, and hockey capacity would still remain the same as in the base facilities. Option B that you see would be the additional $6 million. That would be upgraded exterior and interior architecture, including the large covered exterior that you saw in the picture, and that would certainly be something that it would give it the wow factor if you could put that. The option C, so the total with options A and B, otherwise the big picture, would be $83 million. If you looked at then option C, which is reducing the building as we had discussed, that would then bring it to $62 million. But if the city wants to minimize the cost of this facility while still maximizing the opportunity to have a WHL team here, then we would recommend that you go to that 5,000 to 5,200 seat facility that has a minimal facilities in regard regards to accommodating touring shows, but obviously many of the benefits would still be there to the community. Yet, economic impact, the bigger picture. What these facilities do, and the one that I like the most is up on the left-hand side, because when we talk about community involvement, community center, this is when there was an event that was going on, believe it or not, inside the building. This was a World Figure Skating Championship, and there were just thousands of people that came down to partake. There was all different types of kiosks outside, there was entertainment outside, and those were people that didn't even have a ticket to get into the event. Those are things that, as you see, it creates pedestrian traffic. They create a place for people to want to be at because there's something exciting happening there. I often refer to it as the point is that you can go into any city and you can walk down in the restaurant and bar areas, and you can walk to a restaurant bar that virtually has no people that can get in easily. But where do people tend to go? They go where there's a lineup to get into that bar, because people want to be where other people are. And that's what we have found has created a huge economic impact to these facilities. Visitors come from out of town, there's that increased foot traffic around the local bars, retail shops, and increased property values. Increased property values is something that helps pay for these facilities. It really does create more taxable sources of income. And there's examples. When we started in this way back in the early 90s, is that a lot of these mid-sized and larger facilities, like Rogers Arena and others, were new. People didn't quite know what to expect because they were coming downtown. Previously, they were built, on the outskirts of towns, oftentimes in fairboard areas, whereby there's plenty of parking, and that's where they were established. And at that point in time, 50 years ago, there wasn't a lot of public transit to start with. So what has happened now is as we have learned and seen the learning curve of these cities that have done these event centers starting way back in the early 90s, not only did they build them at the right time, but they also have experienced a tremendous amount of growth to the surrounding area, and when they built them downtown, then what they saw was the downtown tax base increased immensely. And these aren't our words, these are the words right from the Downtown Business Association in out of Kingston, where you may have seen the Tragically Hip perform their last concert. Quite honestly, is that the Tragically Hip, even though they have a great loyalty to Kingston, they wouldn't have gone back and played in the old building for their last show. In fact, one of our architects, Chris O'Reilly, spent quite a bit of time with the Tragically Hip people just prior to, because it was going to be a big show. They ended up wanting to make absolute sure of that, of the total capacity of the building, because they were going to expand it without question, push it to the limits. Likewise in London, that you oftentimes hear, and I think Gord Hume talked about probably, I know that he spoke about that when he came to Nanaimo, just about the success of cities that have seen, in fact, the rejuvenation, revitalization of their downtowns, and he comes from London, Ontario. He saw whereby the Galleria Mall and other shops were boarded up. It was an undesirable place for a lot of people to come. As a result, the urban population, the outskirts of London then really grew. But when it came right down to it, the downtown was dying. The long and short, the downtown was dying. And what Mr. Humes and others have seen, obviously, is proof in the pudding. They didn't know that when they got into this process back in 1999, but they certainly have seen the benefits of it. And when their tax base is growing 61%, where people now want to live downtown, where they see the new condo buildings that have gone up around the facilities, and new office facilities, new small boutique hotels, and restaurants and shopping districts. I remember at the time that dealing with the Downtown Business Association, where they said, in all due respect to you, Mr. Green and Mr. Bain, is that we close at 6 o'clock. Your events are going to be at 7 o'clock at night or 7:30. That's not going to do our business any good. Well, our response was that there's this revolutionary thing whereby you can still go home and sick, but you can have part-time help that can keep that building open. When in fact, I think you're going to want to see done is because of the pedestrian traffic that's going to come into that facilities, and they're going to be passing by your shops, and then when they leave that facilities 2 hours later, are going to be again passing your stores and your shops. And that is exactly what has happened in the downtown London. So that is proof, in the book. Economic and community understand it. In this day and age right now, we're living in an era whereby interest rates for borrowing are at historic lows. Where will they be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? A counselor asked me that question not long ago in another Canadian city. He said, Mr. Green, from all of your experience, what do you think this building will cost us 10 years from now? I said, well, I can tell you this much, is that I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't really tell you, but what I can tell you is this, is that based on when we did the John Labatt Center and it opened in 2002, the cost of that building only was $45 million. We know right now that that building is almost being duplicated in another Canadian city, and the cost of that is $107 million. All in. So in which case, what I can tell you in that period of time is that obviously the costs have gone up significantly. What I can't also tell you is what interest rates will be 10 years from now, because that factors into the equation from where it is right now. The third thing, that I can't tell you is what construction costs will actually be. I have asked some of the main nationals in this country as to what their vision would be, and again, the same response. But they would assume that construction costs are going to go up 3 to 4% over the course of the next 5 to 6 years. That's what their expectations are. The WHL benefits, and this is a real opportunity. We realize that. It's a league that is in business for a long time. It is a member of the Canadian Hockey League that supplies more players to the National Hockey League than any other place in the world. There's 22 teams in 4 divisions in the Western Hockey League. The Nine likely would play in the BC division with Victoria, Kamloops, Vancouver, Prince George, and Kelowna. Great rivalry opportunities. The regular season consists of 72 games and then runs from the 3rd week in September to the 3rd week in March. The reason this is all important is because it's very difficult, and there's many communities that have built these facilities without a major tenant because they've got to replace their old facilities. But if you can acquire a major tenant, you're never going to all of a sudden take those number of events and being able to find that many concerts or other shows that would come in and replace it. So that's why having a WHL franchise is very critical to our belief right now in developing an event center in this market. The other thing to keep in mind is that these are the things that you can't put a dollar value to. The games are broadcast on Rogers Sportsnet, Sportsnet 1, Shaw TV. It's in the newspapers on a regular basis across the country. How much is that worth to have the city of Nanaimo all of a sudden mentioned in all those different locations? Whether that's on television, whether it's radio, whether it's in the newspapers, magazines, all we know is this, it's a big number. When you look at the benefit to Nanaimo, outside of the obvious, and that's the pride that comes with having a team within your facilities, it's also having the economic impact of a team. We know it's beneficial. I mean, one of the economic impacts done for a BC team was $31 million. That's what the team meant to that particular region. And another, it's got the city, not in BC, it was $9 million. Whether it's $9 million, $31 million, or $9 million between, one thing we know is that's a significant impact to a community. And it's something that is very worthwhile in order to have. Where the economic impacts include, we'll take a look at the ticket sales, the fact that the teams bill it to the players with the family expenses, spending at the games, so the scouts from the National Hockey League that come into the city to watch the teams play. All of those things are part of the economic impact that a WHL team provides. Also, just the social benefits, because I know I was a coach and general manager of a CHL team back in Ontario many years ago, and you're very involved in the community. The players are involved in the community. They're involved in charitable fundraising. Yes, they've got busy schedules and they've got school to attain, but at the same time, they're very involved in the community, helping kids learn their skills. And oftentimes you'll also see, as we have experienced for many years across Canada, is that the players will come back and oftentimes after their careers, or if they don't have a career in professional hockey, they'll come back to live in that community because it's a very important base of years between 16 and 20, whereby they really have a great emotion to playing in that city for their team. The next steps. Well, first of all, this is what has been accomplished thus far. Event Center's preliminary objective, the Nanaimo market was looked at, recommended building programs. We talked about all of those this evening. Development costs, the projected operating results we look at and understand that has to be dug down much deeper. We think that stage one was that high-level look at this opportunity. Our next steps, we've got to really drill down and that's right to the community stakeholder engagement, the review and input. As I mentioned about Madison Square Garden, we have done that in every community that we've worked at throughout Canada. Is that it's absolutely critical that we understand what the community wants. We've shown you a design today, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be the design. This is the community's building. The community has to decide what that building is going to look like. Likewise, they have to decide and give input as to the type of events they want to see in there to make sure that when it's designed, that it is inclusive. And from the community to the cultural events, to the people that are operating the festivals and the charitable groups, they all have to have input here. As does the private sector, the downtown businessmen, the businessmen throughout the Niagara and the regional district. They all have to have input into this facility. If, in fact, then we are going to be able to give the proper recommendation to this council at the end of stage two. More detailed concept design and capital cost estimate. We've got to drill down further. We've given you what we believe are the numbers. You want to know for far greater certainty that we've been able to provide you just in that stage. We're confident with our numbers, but at the same time, we have got to drill down, and we then bring in the rest of our team. At this level, then, stage one, we are pretty we do it within our team, or our immediate team. When we get to these stages, then, like in additional market research and economic impacts, we bring in the nationals. We bring in the people who, in fact, are going to stand here in front of you in stage two, and they're going to be the ones that are going to talk about economic impacts with far greater certainty, because there's been a drilling down process. The detailed concept design and the capital cost estimates, and as we mentioned again, with those estimates, they won't be done by just our team within BBB Architects and Stadium Consultants International. We will be bringing experts from that we've utilized in the past to our team for this particular stage. Likewise, with the detailed technical review of the preferred sites, that has to be dealt with further. We've got to talk more with the WHL so that we know this is real. We've got to make sure that when we present stage two to this council, that the results of stage two include exactly where the WHL stands on this. A detailed operating performance for the facility's first 10 years of operation. We're not facility managers. We certainly have worked on an awful lot. Barry's 30 years and my 26. We have worked with a lot of facility management companies, and I know exactly, databases, we have that. But during this period of time, we will be bringing in again the experts to be able to help us report back to you, to be able to give you, and stand here in front of you, to give you a firmer and better understanding of where that 10-year operation would be. Initiatives to secure project funding. A lot more work has got to be done on that, obviously in stage two, to look at the various forms of potential funding, how this would absolutely could be accomplished. And then within that, obviously digging down to further the two sites that we have recommended. Which one is going to be the best site that we can recommend to you based on what is financially in the city's best interest and in the overall communities. This has to be done in a rather tight time frame, and so our agreement is that we would then be reporting back by December the 19th to City Council and addressing all our findings in the second phase. As in closing, what I have said in the past is that you only have one chance to do this right every 50 years, and as a result, it is worth the efforts right now that everyone from city staff onwards and the economic
seconded by